Ready?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Alright. Hi everyone, I'm Nicholas Howe, and I want to talk to you about the Washington Redskins. So raise your hand if you're a football fan. Keep that hand raised if you're a Washington Redskins fan. Alright, we got a few supporters here. Okay. As you all know, we're located off Route 1 in College Park. This means we're only a few miles from our nation's capital, which gives the Washington Redskins their name. According to Google Maps, our proximity to their home stadium, which is named FedEx Field, is less than 20 minutes away. So, since I've been a fan my whole life, I want to share the rich history of the Washington Redskins with you. And the only thing I ask is, if you ever get tickets, take me to a game. Alright, so now that we have some context, I want to start with the Redskins' beginnings in Boston. In 1932, Boston, Massachusetts was given an NFL franchise. Thus, the Boston Braves were born. Within a year, the name was changed to the Boston Redskins to honor Native American head coach William Henry Diaz. Despite a successful beginning, which included the first ever Eastern Conference Championship for the Redskins in 1936, poor attendance led former owner George Preston Marshall to move the team to Washington, D.C. the following year. So a brand new start in 1937 showed immediate success for the Redskins, and during this time, Redskins legend Sammy Baugh emerged. Sammy Baugh was acquired as a 6th pick overall in the 1937 NFL Draft. According to the official site of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Slinging Sammy was a major influence in the offensive revolution that occurred in the late 1930s and early 1940s. He led the Redskins to their first ever NFL championship game against the Chicago Bears in his rookie season, while setting an NFL record in completions and leading the league in passing yards. He broke 13 NFL records by the time he was retired for 3 different positions. As number 33, he's the only number to be officially retired by the Washington Redskins. And as the Redskins became accustomed to success, especially with Sammy Baugh leading the way, fanaticism started to sweep the D.C. area. Unfortunately, the next 25 years would weed out all the fair-weather fans. After a disappointing loss in the 1945 NFL Championship game, the Redskins would not make a playoff appearance until 1971. During this time period, many changes were made. One significant change was the move from Griffith Stadium to D.C. Stadium in 1961. Dismay in the front office was the cause of many of the problems within the organization, and eventually owner George Marshall passed away, leaving Edward Williams in charge. Although success seemed imminent with the acquisition of head coach Vince Lombardi, he died of cancer, starting a 7-5-2 record in 1970, which was the best the Redskins had seen since 1955. Even though the Redskins were not as successful as a team from 1946 to 1970, they contributed to the integration of football. First off, the Redskins drafted Ernie Davis, who became the first African-American player to win the Heisman Trophy. Not only that, but the Redskins had Doug Williams, the first African-American to play in a Super Bowl and win the MVP award. As the Baltimore Examiner explains, what makes Doug Williams' performance in Super Bowl 22 important is not solely because he was the first African-American quarterback to win a Super Bowl, but because he did it for a franchise that had a legacy of racism and discrimination against African-Americans. This was referring to previous owner George Marshall, who was open about his dislike for African-American players. Moreover, this area gave rise to many other black players, such as Pro Bowl selection Bobby Mitchell and famous wide receiver Charlie Taylor. Following the integration of the NFL, the Redskins saw immediate success with head coach George Allen. He led them to the playoffs in 1971, and they would appear in the playoffs 4 more times during his reign, and ending with the Super Bowl VII, where they lost to the Miami Dolphins. George Allen was fired in 1977, and the Redskins' majority owner, Jack Kent Cooke, took over, hiring San Diego Chargers offensive coordinator Joe Gibbs to the position of head coach in 1981. Joe Gibbs is one of the most successful coaches of all time. During his first tenure with the Redskins, he led them to 8 playoff appearances, 4 NFC championship titles, and 3 Super Bowl titles in just 12 seasons, using, as the Washington Post stated, combined innovation on the field and integrity off it. With a strong rushing game, built on the infamous offensive line of the Hogs, and a complementary passing game, Joe Gibbs turned promising and mediocre players alike into stars. Such players include Art Monk, Joe Theismann, John Riggins, Doug Williams, and Mark Ripien. In his second stint as head coach for the Redskins, Joe Gibbs brought the team to 2 more playoff appearances and signed many of the successful players that are still on the team today. Even though he did not do as much his second time around, he's still a Hall of Fame coach who stands tall next to John Madden and Vince Lombardi. With a long history, the Redskins are coming into this 2010 season with many new players and coaches, hoping for a Super Bowl in the near future. Hopefully everyone can now appreciate the Washington Redskins for the successful franchise they are, despite limited success in recent years. Those Redskins fans who are still out there, only 1 or 2 in this room, should be eagerly awaiting the 2010 season with the debut of head coach Mike Shanahan and starting quarterback Donovan McNabb.
Here at 5:30.
Okay. Right here we have the fight song for the Redskins entitled "Hail to the Redskins." And that's why we're excited. Thank you guys for listening. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
You.
Thank you.